Good evening, all the students. We'll just take a couple of few more minutes for other attendees to join so that we can start all together. In the meantime, by the other students are coming, we'll just wait for a couple of more minutes. In the meantime, you could tell me what has been your study till now. I hope you're all appearing for the September attempt. So what has been your study progress so that will help us, to concentrate and focus on the right path. If you want, you could, since you have the liberty of talking up. So if you could raise your hands, I can unmute you and we can discuss, or you could type it and also send it, whichever way works for you. Once everyone starts or everyone is ready, then I'll just give you a formal introduction about myself, and I will then start with the assigned topic. Okay. So Ab Rakesh is saying he might be appearing for September 25th. So are you not clear? What is the reason? Is it you're not decided? First group is pending. Okay. But generally, you should write both the groups if that's a good option, because you get the benefit of getting the average marks from group 1 and group 2 both, right? So even if in group 1 the aggregate goes below and in the other group the aggregate is pulled up for by a good marks in the second group, then that will pull up overall average. So my general recommendation is that you should write both the groups together. Of course, in terms of you will have to decide in terms of how much time and how much preparation you have. These being professional exams, you will have to take off a lot of time. And if you give proper timing to this, then the results also will give you proper results. Okay, others, I plan to write both the groups, sir. Very good. That is Jacinth Junior. For me, it's just academic interest. Okay, got it. Fine. Okay, Pragya is trying for both the groups. Very good. Both the groups in September. Okay, very good. So since you are all, most of you are writing it in September, you are in what stage of your study? Like we are now in May. You have May, June, July, August, hardly 4 months. In September, you have your exams. So have you progressed in terms of in terms of your studies? Have you done one or two, at least one basic reading, and kind of now you are in the stage that you need to revise it, because that will be the expectation from these live classes. We are under the live virtual revisionary classes, right? So wherein we will do a revision, will not get into the nitty gritties and detailing. We will not go through a threadbare level. Okay, we will go at a advanced level. So that is the expectation, that you know a little basics. Of course, you have cleared your intermediate and you are here, but at this level also, at this point of time, that is important, that at this point of time, you should be in your round of revisions. Okay. So our classes are tuned in such a manner that these revisionary classes, we will make a point that we will be taking 2 to 3 chapters at one point of time. So when 2 to 3 chapters are there, you can't expect that we will go into the detailing of everything. We will just touch base on the few detailing and those technical aspects, those aspects which are to be highlighted, those clarifications. Okay. Because if you have to deal with clarifications, we should know the basics. So that is the expectation from this class. And okay, if anywhere, since we have liberty of answering the queries and we have this opportunity of answering live, so any point of time you feel that you're not getting it, you can ask your questions, you can raise your hands, so that we can answer your queries. Okay. So let us start with the basic introduction. Uh, on the subject, you definitely have a basic introduction of the subject. You have dealt with this practically, and you have dealt with this in your academics also at your inter level. Basic introduction of the subject is fine. A basic introduction of the speaker. I'll give a introduction about myself. I am Deepak Jain. I am a chartered accountant and a company secretary. I have been practicing for close to 15 years now in the indirect tax field. Prior to GST, I was working in a firm wherein I was working on service tax matters. And post GST, I'm looking completely into GST matters. That is, and I am a practicing company secretary. I was a practicing chartered accountant. I surrendered my certificate of practice, then taken up a certificate of practice as a company secretary. So my practice is company secretary in terms of profession, but I practice both company law as well as GST law. I have been accredited as a faculty with the indirect tax committee. So indirect tax committee has affiliated few faculties wherein we can teach the other members, like at least take sessions, not teaching through proper in terms of studies, going through a study material or something. That is advanced level wherein we have to give practical exposure and what happens on the ground to the members. So I have been fortunate enough to be a faculty with the indirect tax committee for GST and for UAE VAT. That is the United Arab Emirates had also got the VAT. So I've been a faculty with them also. That is the introduction with the CA Institute. With the Board of Studies, I have been teaching indirect taxes, specifically GST, to inter students for close to now 8 years. And every year there have been two sessions, so close to 16 to 20 sessions I've taken. That is how the path of the studies has been, our teaching has been. I am also a faculty with a small academy here in Bangalore called as CFO Next. And I like teaching. I want to like embark that once you teach something, you learn also. So that is the objective I've been teaching, so that I can uh, be learning as well as teach the students. I've got feedback from students that they have cleared the exams after attending these sessions. So one good thing about the institute is that these sessions were not there when we had done our CA coaching. We had to go to outside and things. Now from anywhere you can access. So that's a very great initiative taken up by the Board of Studies. Really applaud them. So that is a basic introduction. So with this background, I think we are good to start. We can start with the basics of GST. Like any subject when you study, you need to understand it from the basics. Correct. So that is the objective, that I start with the basics, even though it is very relevant that basics you would have known, but so it will be idle to start from supply chapter. But to get the basic understanding clear, to set the framework, we will start with some introductory part. Okay. And if free to be make the session very interactive. Okay. So wherever you have doubts, I can unmute you. Please raise your hands, so that any doubt, if you're not able to type, you want to talk, or if few people are not very comfortable in talking or asking the questions, you can type in. But the objective is, at the end of these 3 hours of session, you should take away, because just attending these 3 hours and not taking away will not make sense. You have to take away complete whatever is the objective. You have to take away the topics from here. Okay. In terms of ground rules, are you comfortable with Hindi, or you want me to talk only in English? Only in English. Okay. Samyanathan. Anybody else? Pragya is fine with both. Only English. Okay. Hindi and English. English. Okay. Others. So if they are silent, it means what? Neither Hindi, neither English.
Both, sir.
Both. Okay. Some concepts when you are aware with Hindi, right? Some concepts, if you teach in Hindi or you listen to them in Hindi, it is easier to grasp. That's the reason what I will do is some concepts I will teach in Hindi, but people who are in English, don't worry. I will re-emphasize that. I will repeat that in English. So don't feel that you're losing out something. You are not losing anything. I will, for the convenience, do it in both the language, few concepts in Hindi as well as English. Okay, perfect. So we'll start with few starting remarks on GST. We know when the GST came in, there were a lot of deficiency in the earlier regime. So what were those deficiencies which brought in GST? There was double taxation on a single transaction. Even now we have double taxation, but it is on a different concept. It is on a different concept that on, say, a property, you will pay stamp duty and you will pay GST also when it is under construction, right? Why? Why are you paying two different duties on a same transaction? There is something called as a aspect theory. Okay, what does aspect theory say? That when a property is getting transferred, on that, when a property is getting constructed, that is a supply element. So on the supply, I will pay GST, or earlier I used to pay service tax. And on that instrument, the document which is giving the right to the other person, or the property is getting transferred, on that I'm paying stamp duty. So that is a different aspect, and the service is a different aspect. So transaction can be similar, but there can be different aspects. So there is an important theory called aspect theory. So on a same transaction, on two different aspects, different taxes can be paid. But prior to GST, we had to pay extra taxes. That is, on a same sale transaction itself, I had to pay VAT also, that is VAT on the sale portion, and service tax on the service portion of the same transaction. That was lot of litigation which was prone, lot of case laws were there, and that is when lot of problems used to happen prior to GST. That was the reason GST had come in. Then there was no senvat after manufacturing stage. You are aware of this, that before the GST came in, we had excise duty. So when a manufacturer used to charge excise duty, that had to be a claimable credit, right? I am a trader, I am buying from a manufacturer. The manufacturer charges excise duty. That excise duty, I should be in a position to claim it. But that was not claimable to me. So that was an extra cost burden to the trader because he can't claim the credit. Then there was no set off of Senvat and VAT. No set off was available of Senvat and VAT. Even though I used to pay Senvat, but I will not get credit against VAT. No integration of VAT and service tax, then non-inclusion of local levies, like on the local transaction, state government used to levy luxury tax, entertainment tax, credit was not available. And last point which I want to highlight is the cascading of taxes. There was cascading of taxes, which means levy of non-vatable CST. I had to purchase anything interstate, I will pay CST, on that I will not get the credit. Correctly I'm paying, but still no credit of that. Then inclusion of Senvat in the value of imposing VAT. A manufacturer, when he manufactures, he will charge Senvat and he will charge VAT. Two levies, firstly, that itself is a problem, but those two levies also are fine. Saying, okay, one is on manufacture, one is on sale. But the VAT used to be charged on the value of the product plus plus the excise duty. On both, I will pay tax. So it was resulting in tax on tax. So those were the lacunas which had were there in the earlier regime, which propagated us to get a clean system, which is the GST now. Okay. What is the concept of GST? It's a value added tax. There is continuous chain of tax credit. So the how is the continuous chain of tax credit there? How do you know that there is a continuous chain of tax credit? Yeah, through a system of input tax credit. Okay, so through this system of input tax credit, whenever a manufacturer sells to a first stage dealer or a wholesaler, from there, he will sell it to a retailer or a distributor. From the distributor, he will sell it to the retailer. So in from retailer, it will go to multiple retailers, then it will reach the customer. So till the point it reaches from the manufacturer to so many people, all of them can claim the credit. Okay. Priyanka Sharma,
Yes, sir.
you want to ask something?
No, sir. No, sir.
Can you mute yourself?
Yes, sir. Sir.
Okay, so there is a credit under the GST. The main backbone of GST is input tax credit, that any supply transaction will give you the credit. Even if you are providing services and buying goods, still you will get the credit. It is not compulsory that as a service product you should take only services. No, you can take goods, you will get credit of that also, even if you're a service provider, and vice versa. But the next point is that the ultimate burden is borne by the final consumer. Who will bear the burden? The final consumer will bear the burden. He will not get any credit. Then there is no cascading of taxes. Like we had seen in the previous regime, there was tax on tax. So here there is no tax on the tax. There is no cascading of taxes. Okay. Framework on GST, this is very simple. Just want to highlight that any transaction, to just be clear, what is a interstate transaction, what is a intrastate transaction. That when there is a transaction between state 1 and state 2, this is two different state, so IGST will be levied. But anything within the state, it is a intrastate transaction, CGST and SGST will be levied. Similarly, if there is any transaction within a union territory, then also CGST and UTGST will be levied, right? So any intrastate transaction, you will levy CGST and SGST if it is a state. If it is a union territory, then it will be CGST and UTGST. Any transaction from one state to another state, or from one state to union territory, or from a union territory to a foreign territory, is also a IGST transaction. Or when you import anything from a foreign country to your state, also it is a interstate transaction. We are clear with this? Correct? Legislative framework, we know CGST goes to the central government, UTGST and CGST. One important point is that it also applies for intrastate transaction within a state or within a union territory. UT applies only for a union territory. SGST applies to two parties. One is to the state, definitely, and also to a union territory which has a legislature. So any union territory with legislature will also be chargeable to SGST. Okay. Then classification of goods, we know this, the HSN and SEC, the yes, Abrakesh.
Sir, what is the with legislature or
Yeah,
without legislature?
so you have union territories, right? Union territories are of two types. Union territories can be with legislature, wherein there is a legislative council. The legislative assembly is sitting in those union territories. Okay. Like
Okay.
the Union Territory of Delhi, very famous for its chief minister. Delhi is a union territory. But how can a union territory have a chief minister? Because that union territory has a legislative assembly wherein there are parties, and it is not guided by the central government. It is
Okay.
guided by its own elected members.
Okay.
So
Thank
that
you, sir.
is a union territory with legislature. Such union territory will have its own GST. So Delhi has its Delhi GST Act. Similarly, Pondicherry also is a union territory with legislature. Okay. Next is on the aspect of registration. The threshold limit for registration generally is 20 lakhs, but some certain states said that no, we need a lower limit. So for these special category states, the limit is 10 lakhs. M, M, P, and MM. That is how I remember this. Tripura, Nagaland, Mizoram, Manipur. So for this TNMM states, the limit is 10 lakhs for both goods and services. For this UP must, Uttarakhand, Puducherry, Meghalaya, Arunachal Pradesh, Sikkim, and Telangana. So this is how we call it as UP must hai. For these states, the limit is 20 lakhs for both goods and services. So first category of 4 states, limit is 10 lakhs. Second category of states, 20 lakhs. And third category is other than this 4 and 6, other than these 10 category states, all other states and union territory will have a limit of 20 lakhs for services and 40 lakhs for goods. Fine. So 40 lakhs for goods. If you're exclusively engaged in dealing of only goods, then 40 lakhs. If you're dealing in services, then it is 20 lakhs. Okay. So if you cross this limit, you have to take compulsory registration. If you do not take registration, you are still liable. Right? Next is composition scheme. We'll come to that because we have that in our chapter. Exemptions will come in a separate. So wherever it is taxable, some exemptions have been given. And there is last aspect is on seamless flow of credit. What do you mean by seamless flow of credit? Any CGST credit, what you have, you can utilize it for your CGST, and any balance left can be utilized with the IGST. Right? Similarly, any credit of SGST which you have, you can utilize for the SGST part, and any balance remaining you can utilize for the IGST part. And finally, any IGST credit you can utilize for the IGST, and good part of this is you can utilize for the like and for the CGST and SGST both. And this can be in any proportion. Fine. So these are the basic things. The another aspect on this which you may have to still remember even now is that there are certain goods which are outside the GST, right? Which is alcoholic liquor for human consumption outside the GST, 5 petroleum products outside the GST, tobacco outside, opium, Indian hemp, and narcotic drugs. Here, this state excise and GST both are applicable on this, because some products are very, very dear to the state government or very, very dear to the central government. So they can't leave away. उनको छोड़ नहीं सकते हैं टैक्सेशन से. जीएसटी आके 8 साल हो जाएंगे अभी, फिर भी वो इसको नहीं छोड़ रहे. वो बोल रहे हैं कि नहीं, हमें पुराना टैक्स चाहिए. So alcoholic liquor for human consumption in a city like where I stay in Bangalore, okay, it is a pub capital. So badly it is called that it's a pub capital. So यहाँ पे government का revenue is on the alcoholic liquor. So they are collecting the state excise and also charging VAT and CST. So this is so very near product for the state government that they're saying that we can't leave it off. But eventually, when the central government and state government reaches at a consensus, all of these products will come up. That it will in the future, when I don't know, because I cannot say you for certain which year, how many years more it will take. Right? Someday it will come under GST, but for now, on alcoholic liquor for human consumption, state excise and VAT is levied. On petroleum products, central excise duty, central भी मजा कर रहा है, क्योंकि जो भी है, whatever items are getting imported through oils, because they'll have to import it from other countries. So they're charging excise duty and state is charging VAT also on that. Then tobacco, central excise duty and GST is levied. And on opium, Indian hemp and narcotic drugs, state excise and GST is levied. And luckily on immovable property, no GST is levied, because on immovable property, it is neither goods nor services. That's why it is not liable for GST. The constitutional provision, very important. Prior to introduction of GST, various taxes were levied. How were they levied? They were levied through this Article 246. It had 3 lists: list 1, list 2, list 3. And through this list, they were taxes which were levied. Okay. State list, union list. So whatever was there in the union list, only union government could levy taxes on that. Whatever was in the state list, only state government could levy taxes on that. And concurrent list, both state and central government had the power. Okay. Now, under which entry, whether on list 1, list 2, or list 3, which of these lists do we have our GST? Under which of these lists is the power given to the government to levy GST? We know that to levy any taxes, there has to be a levy provision, or the power should come from the constitution. So, which is the provision through which GST has got the powers? Come on, this is what we have learned in our intermediate also. So, I'm only asking you those questions. List 3. Okay, Abrakesh is saying list 3. Others, which list? Come on, you need to make this a little interactive. At least it will be like you will not be participating then. List 2. Okay. You know what? This is only union list and this is only state list and this is concurrent list. But for GST, the power had to be given to both center and state parallelly. This list was sacrosanct that if something is there in list 1, then state cannot enter it. And if it is in list 2, then state center cannot enter. And if it is in list 3, then both have to levy, then IGST cannot be done, right? So if any transaction on import, if you want to levy some taxes as an interstate, then you cannot levy. So list 3 also was not feasible. So what they did is they did not use any of this list. They said we'll bring in a new article and they brought in Article 246A, which gave power to levy GST. So GST is not levied by any of this list 1, list 2, list 3 at all. जीएसटी लेवी हो रहा है 246A से, नॉट 246, क्योंकि 246 में उनको पावर ही नहीं है. सो आर्टिकल 246A में उनको पावर मिला है, तो इसीलिए कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट जो किया गया था, क्योंकि पुराने लिस्ट को आप कुछ नहीं कर सकते, नया लिस्ट लेके आने की वहां पे सिफारिश नहीं थी, तो इसीलिए एक नया लिस्ट, नया आर्टिकल, आर्टिकल 246A लाया गया है. So there was a amendment and a new article itself was introduced in the constitution for levying the GST. Now, what does the constitution make? It gave concurrent powers to the parliament and state legislature to make laws. So 246A gave power to both center and state to make the laws. And the law of integrated GST was introduced on any interstate transactions. Okay, so on any interstate transactions, there will be levy called as integrated GST, which is popularly known as IGST. So any transactions what we make between one state to another state, as I discussed, are from one state to another union territory, you will levy IGST. IGST doesn't stand for interstate GST. It stands for integrated GST. Okay, and the 246A also gave powers for determining what is the place of supply, when a supply takes place in the course of interstate trade. All of that has to get guided. That is what 246A said ki these are the things which I will bring in. Okay. So power to make levy was there in 246A. Other two series of A's were introduced, which was 269A, wherein levy and collection of GST on any interstate supply and import was the exclusive power given to the central government, and Article 279A got into bring in a special body called GST Council, wherein any recommendation on the GST aspects of GST rate, GST law will be made by this GST Council. This was also very important because state government also had to give that power. Now, how do you bring everybody on a consensus? Because decisions will be made in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and some decisions will be made in the local assembly. But how do you unite all of them? Through united them through this very important aspect of GST Council, and most of the decisions even today are happening through the GST Council itself. Clear? So that was the background. Now we'll get into the concept of supply. Okay. What is the taxable event in any prior to the GST law? Like in case of manufacturing, in case of excise duty, what was the taxable event? Manufacture. The taxable event was manufacture of goods. So once you manufacture any goods, then you are liable to pay excise duty. Fine. Similarly, for customs duty, what was the taxable event? Taxable event is that activity or that incidence that when it happens, then you are liable to pay the relevant duty, right? Like in case of import. So if you import anything, straight away you have to pay customs duty. So just you import, legal or illegal, doesn't matter. If you have imported, you have to pay customs duty, right? And even on exports, luckily, but on exports, the duty is zero, except on few products which is restricted, on that duty is levied, but generally on exports there is no customs duty. Then service tax, on rendering of any service tax would be levied, and sales tax will be whenever there is a transfer of ownership, sales tax or VAT was levied. Okay, so those were the taxable events which when used to happen, a tax used to get triggered. But now under GST, all of that various different taxing legs have gone down. Now there is only one taxing event under GST, which is supply. So if you do any transaction of supply, then the entire value of supply of goods or services is charged in an integrated manner, right? So once you do a supply, then GST will be levied. Now the supply itself is so huge that it covers everything. So before getting into supply, we will touch upon the important definitions which have been amended and which will be relevant for your exams. The amended one definition is the definition of supplier. Not many definitions are there, and I don't think that you have to remember all the definitions. Just remember the important definitions, that should be sufficient. Who is a supplier? Generally, a person who supplies the goods is a supplier. So, supplier in relation to any goods or services shall mean the person who is supplying the said goods or services or both, and shall include an agent acting as such on behalf of such supplier in relation to the goods or services or both which is supplied. Simple definition. A supplier is one who is supplying the goods or services. He shall mean the person supplying the said goods, and it will also include an agent, because if I am supplying directly and if I'm busy, I'm telling my team member to just supply it. So that is also supply, correct? Either I supply or anybody supplies on my behalf. I am the supplier because the ultimate responsibility is on me. That is the definition of supplier. Fine. Till then, it is clear. ठीक है, यहां तक ठीक है. लेकिन एक प्रोविजो इन्होंने इंक्लूड कर दिया है. देयर इज अ प्रोविजो व्हिच इज इंक्लूडेड, व्हिच इज very, very important and lengthier one. Now, what does this definition or the proviso says? Proviso says that a person who organizes or arranges directly or indirectly, a person who organizes or arranges directly or indirectly supply of specified actionable claims. Okay, तो सप्लायर हमने समझ लिया है. अब सप्लायर के डेफिनेशन में कॉम्प्लिकेशन लेके आ गए हैं, और उन्होंने कहा कि वी विल ब्रिंग इन सम एडिशन, एंड दे हैव सेड दैट अ पर्सन हु इज अरेंजिंग इन सप्लाइंग एनी एक्शनेबल क्लेम्स either on his own account or to somebody else, right? Specified actionable claims जो सप्लाई कर रहा है वो भी सप्लायर है. That is the ultimate crux of the second part. That is, if a person who is providing any specified actionable claims for which he is getting some consideration, then he is also a supplier. Now, what is the specified actionable claims? Specified actionable claims means any activity of betting, casinos, gambling, horse racing, lottery, or online money gaming. If you are doing any of this, then you are providing specified actionable claim service, and the person who's operating it will be the supplier. Now, what happens in, say, betting transaction? I will do a bet and there'll be other person who will accept the bet. But to bring both of us, there is one person who will be a bookie, right? That person is called as a supplier because he is the one who is arranging it. Similarly, when you do any online games, you are putting some money. There are other people also, lakhs of people who are there. Now, how are we connected? Do we know them directly? Do we at least search through them? No. We are all connected through this online money gaming app, right? So the app person has control on both of us. He is having complete details. We are also giving our money to him, right? When you're playing anything like Dream 11, that is also online money gaming because you're giving money, and on some transactions you are winning and some transactions you're losing, but most of the time you will lose only. Huh? All of these games are good enough to just encourage you, but most of us have lost money in that. Correct? You will not make money. It's just a matter of time wherein you will win something and you will put more money, keep putting more money, and you will lose all the money. Right? So this is an online money gaming. You are not the supplier. The other person who's paying you also is not the supplier. But the ultimately the person who is controlling the transactions, he is the supplier. He has to pay GST, is what this amended definition is saying. Okay. Now definitions. We have seen all of the definitions. We will also see more definitions. The definitions could be of two types. It could be exhaustive definition and it could be inclusive definition. I'm sure you have understood this in your income tax, right? But just for clarity, because we are all CA students, we should know this very importantly, that what is a definition clause saying? A definition clause can be exhaustive or it could be inclusive. When it's exhaustive, it says definitions where means has been used, which means that, say, for example, taxable supply. It says that the definition says that taxable supply means, which means what? The scope of the definition cannot be expanded. Taxable supply means any supply on which tax is payable. बस सिंपल है, तो उसके अलावा कुछ सोचने की भी जरूरत नहीं है. So taxable supply means only this. So a person who is providing taxable supply or a transaction where a supply is there and it is taxable, that is taxable supply. तो उसका मतलब क्या हो गया? इट्स अ एग्जॉस्टिव डेफिनेशन कि इस डेफिनेशन में ही पूरा दे दिया है. In this definition, complete transaction has been given. You don't have to go beyond it. That is exhaustive definition. Second is inclusive definition. When the definitions uses the word includes, like our definition of supply. Supply includes all forms of supply such as sale, barter, transfer, exchange, lease, license, or rental. So it is starting with, it is everything, but it says that it includes, which means general understanding of supply is there, but this following things also are includes. Person includes the following, which means general notion of what is a person is very big. So it is expanding the definition and it is a wide definition. So uska limit nahi hai. So when it says means, it is exhaustive, and when it says includes, it is inclusive and it expands the scope of definition. Right? These two words should be good enough for us to understand. When it is means, it is exhaustive definition. When it's inclusive, includes, then it's a inclusive definition. If it's an inclusive definition, the definition is very wide. Okay? Now we know definition of supply. I will not bring back the definition of supply. We'll understand the supply in a very simple manner. Supply includes supply of goods or services, right? Supply includes all the 8 forms of supply. and it should be of goods or services. It should be for a consideration and it should be in the course or furtherance of business. Okay, this much we know. Correct? Any supply should have two criteria along with it. But one is it should be for a consideration and it should be for furtherance of business. If it is for not business, then it's not a supply. And if it is without consideration, then also it's not a supply. So two aspects is there should be a consideration and it should be for furtherance of business. Right? Supply of goods for a consideration and furtherance of business, section 7(1)(a). Section 7, you have to remember. It's a very important definition. Section 7 says supply includes all forms of supply, such as those 8 forms of goods or services for a consideration in the course or furtherance of business. Then 7(1)(a) says activities or transactions of a club or association is also supply. Right? Then importation of services. Import of services for a consideration, even if it is not in the course of business, which is 7(1)(b), is also a supply. हमने यहाँ पे तो बोला था कि consideration and furtherance of business is required, but in 7(1)(b) we are saying for importing of services, if consideration is there, that is sufficient. If it is not in the course of business, still it is a supply. And then supply can be without consideration when it is 7(1)(c) transaction, which is given as a list in Schedule 1. So Schedule 1 transaction says that these are the transactions which is without consideration, but you have to pay GST. And then non-supplies under GST, which is 7(2) mentioned in Schedule 3. Schedule 3 के जो भी transactions हैं, उसके ऊपर it is not supply. It is not a supply for the purpose of GST. Like one of the category there is any transaction between an employer and employee. Correct? Employer pays salary to the employee. So will it be supply? It can be a supply because it is a transaction of supply. But Schedule 3 says whether you say supply or no, I am telling this is non-supply. So on employer-employee, there is no GST payable. Last, activities to be treated as supply of goods or supply of services. Should we pay GST rate which is applicable for supply of goods, or we have to pay GST rate which is supply for services? There are two rates. For goods, there is different GST rate. For services, there is different GST rate. So which rate will you apply? That will be decided by this 7(1) capital A, which is a list given in Schedule 2. In Schedule 2, what is the classification? Whether it is goods or whether it is services is given in Schedule 2. So Schedule 2 gives the classification. Okay. So that is a supply transaction. Now that is very simple. Now, what are the parameters of supply? It should be supply of goods or services. It should be for a consideration and in the course or furtherance of business. The exceptions are that it cannot be in the course or furtherance of business. फिर भी GST लगेगा when in case of import of services. So, what could you think of import of services which is not in the course of furtherance of business still supply? Give me some examples for this category. Imported for personal use. Like what will you import for personal use? You have everything in India, right? So why will you import something for personal use? For consideration, right? For a consideration, you import. Somebody is giving you free, I will also import. Baba, you tell me. दोनों import करते हैं. But why will you import something for consideration for personal use?
Like gold when it is cheaper. For example, in Dubai.
So that is import of goods. Okay. And if it is cheaper there, at the customs, you have to pay customs duty. But we are talking about a case of import of services. your Gmail. Gmail you are using free. Now your memory box is full. You have to pay monthly subscription. And your personal Gmail, you're not using it for business. You're using it for a personal purpose, clicking pictures, photos everywhere, and increasing the storage what they've given. So you have to pay monthly some amount. That invoice you see, it will not be from Google India, it will be from Google Ireland. Right? That is one example of import of services. You are importing cloud services, cloud storage services for personal use. It is not in the course of furtherance of business. On that, GST is payable. Another example, very common, Spotify you're using. Spotify, when you use, you are listening to music on a subscription model. When you go, you're not using it for your official business. Netflix streaming, exactly right. You are using it for watching movies, import of services, not for business use. Still, it is a supply, right? So we understand now 7(1)(b), which is import of services, not in the course of furtherance of business, still liable. This is given in Schedule 1. Sorry, this is not given in Schedule 1. Schedule 1 is 7(1)(c), wherein it is transfer or supply of goods or services in the course of furtherance of business without consideration. That is there in Schedule 1. So whatever list of activities are there in Schedule 1, for them you're not paying money also, but still you're liable for GST. Now tell me some example for the Schedule 1.
Freebies, sample.
Is it there in Schedule 1? No consideration, I agree. But do you think it is there in Schedule 1? It says disposal of any asset on which ITC has been claimed. So freebies will not fit in that category. Freebies is a separate supply activity. Any assets you have bought, you have claimed the ITC, now you are selling it. Then it is disposal of assets that will form under Schedule 1. Okay. And any kind of a transaction between a principal and agent that will form under Schedule 1. So for these transactions, there will not be consideration, but it is in the course of furtherance of business, supply will attract. We'll go to Schedule 1 and understand that in detail. Then Schedule 3. Schedule 3 says transactions which are outside the scope of supply is there under Schedule 3. So it is a transaction which you're doing, right? But on that, there is no GST. That is covered under Schedule 3, right? Supply of goods and services. Anything which is neither goods or services is not a supply. Now, what are these transactions which is not a goods, not a services? Transactions in money and transaction in securities. These are neither supply of goods nor supply of services. So if you give money to me, don't ask me again. Bhul jao usko. Okay, give it to somebody else and you ask them back, he gives you back. So is it supply? Still not a supply because your money you're given, you're getting it back. So it's a transaction in money. So transaction in money and securities is outside the GST because it is neither goods nor services. Supply, 8 terms, we know this: sale, transfer, barter, exchange, license, rental, lease, and disposal. Okay. But we'll go to the important aspects here. Mr. A buys a table for 10,000 rupees for his personal use and he sells it after 10 months of use. Is it a supply? This is not a supply because it is not considered as a supply under CGST as this is not done by Mr. A for the furtherance of business. But if he does it in the course of his business, that he is buying and selling chairs, then it is supply. Or he is using it for his office use, used it and selling it, then it's a supply. But for personal use, he bought one-off occasion he has sold, it is not a supply. Then Mr. B provides free food coaching to his neighboring students as a hobby. Is it supply? My uncle is there. Uncle is providing free coaching to his students. Is it a supply or no? No. Why no? Yeah, you have to give reason also. Why no supply?
Not for the furtherance of business or without consideration.
It is for the furtherance of business because the person who is doing coaching, he is earning it. It is his business. So it is in the course of furtherance of business. But I said it is free coaching. So there is no consideration. Your second part is right. That it is without consideration. So it is not a supply. Third aspect, when a new mobile of rupees 10,000 is exchanged for an old mobile, along with you give an old mobile, you'll get a new mobile. No, you have to pay something extra also. So that is what? That is an example of exchange because that can be also treated as barter. In barter, what happens? You give something and you get something. But in exchange, you give something plus something more in terms of cash and get something back. That is example of an exchange transaction. Then when a laptop is supplied for rupees 30,000 with a barter for printer, that is a clear-cut example of a barter transaction. Katrina Kaif uses the services of an artist from USA. Okay. Now GST will be paid by whom? GST will be paid by Katrina Kaif because it's a import of services and she is registered under GST. I hope so. So she will pay GST under reverse charge mechanism. Yes, that is import of services. Okay. Next aspect is consideration. What is consideration? Consideration means payment. There has to be a quid pro quo because everywhere we have said that for supply there has to be consideration. Now, what is this consideration? Consideration means you are giving something for getting something. Now, this consideration, should it always be in money? No, it need not be money. It could be in non-monetary terms also. Okay, you are coming and doing marketing for me, for which I am supplying CA services to you. That is also a quid pro quo. I am doing something and I'm getting something. What I'm getting, that is not my consideration. What I'm giving, okay, that is your consideration. What you are giving to me is my consideration for providing you any services. Right? So, consideration, very important, need not be in money. It can be in non monetary terms. Consideration need not flow only from the customer, it can flow from anybody. A third party making payment for the transaction is also consideration. But a subsidy which is given by the central government or state government is not a supply. Only one exclusion in definition of consideration or in the definition of valuation is that when you get any subsidy from the central government or state government, then it is not considered as a supply. Which means what? Any subsidy received by Melinda Gates Foundation is taxable or no?
Taxable reverse charge.
It is taxable. Reverse charge, not necessarily. It is again on the forward charge because the person who's supplying, he is getting the subsidy. So it will still be taxable under forward charge itself because the person who's supplying, instead of getting money from the customer, he's getting the consideration from Melinda Gates. So it is a forward charge transaction itself. But the important point is subsidy received from anybody other than central government and state government is taxable. Fine. A deposit is what? A deposit I give to you and so that you can do any transactions with me. So this deposit, is it a supply? No, it is not a supply because the nature of deposit is that you will keep it as a deposit and at a periodic time or whenever our agreement terminates, you'll return it back to me. But why you have taken the deposit? Because you know that this fellow, when I keep selling him, one day he will give me heart and he will not pay me the money. So that is the reason you are collecting the deposit. And when that event happen or that day comes wherein this person doesn't pay, then you will adjust the deposit against the consideration which is due to you. So that day when the deposit is offset with the consideration, then it is a consideration. Up till then, it is not a consideration. Okay. That is all on the concept of consideration. One clarification. So, a lot of clarifications have come by the government, which is very, very important for us because most of the questions I think theoretical will come from this aspect of clarifications. Donations. General, do we give donations? Fine, donations will be exempt from GST. But I give donation to this NGO, okay? And I also say, बस boss, मेरा नाम होना चाहिए सब जगह. मेरा सब जगह नाम होना चाहिए. Everybody comes, they should know that I have given a donation. Which means what? You are not giving it for a philanthropic reason. You are giving it for marketing. आपका marketing budget था, वहां पे नहीं पे किया, donation में पे कर दिया. So if you expect something from the person who is receiving the donation, which means it is not for philanthropic topic. Philanthropic मतलब क्या है कि there is no commercial gain. लेकिन इस केस में you're giving donation and you're expecting something back, right? Then it is not a donation, it is a consideration and GST will be applicable on that. So gift or donation which is made to a charitable organization and payment has the character of gift or donation and it is for philanthropic. अगर तीनों condition meet होते हैं, then it is not a consideration. If it is for not as a character of gift, it is a character of a quid pro quo कि मैं दे रहा हूं मुझे कुछ चाहिए, then it is not a consideration. ठीक है? Please let me know if I'm fast because we have to be fast. Artworks. Any artwork exhibition when you go, you will see, right? Lot of paintings I used to do. I'm not saying about you. I used to go to lot of exhibitions and the painting were in a different thing which I can't understand. With due respect to the artist who has done it, I don't understand what it is, but there are few people who like it and buy it. Now, in this art exhibition, I have not seen any sale transaction happening. Out of the 100 exhibitors who will do window shopping, only one person will buy it. Now, that day, that one person did not come. Now, this artist, when he gave his painting to this art gallery, is it a supply or no? It is not a supply because for this artist who has done the painting, it will be a supply only when that one person whom I said he will buy it, he comes and buys it. Until then, there is no supply. So there is only an exhibition for which he is not getting any consideration. So there is no consideration for this sale by the artist or giving by the artist for this exhibition. Only when that one person comes and buys, then there is a supply. General knowledge, all these clarifications, what we've seen, are very lengthy, are very detailed. But if you apply your general knowledge, you understand it, then any twist and twirl when they give you in your exams, you can still answer it. The main crux in your CA exams is how confident are you on the concepts. So if you're confident on the concepts, then they will twist and twirl because अपने तो percentage कम ही रखना है. Right? CA is a professional course, so you will not expect that you will get 40% results, right? Maximum 20%. So your exams will be tough. So how do you crack through those 20%? Out of 1 lakh people writing, only 15 to 20,000 will pass. So how you can become that 1% from that 15 to 20,000? By understanding the concepts clearly. If you understand, if you read it, nothing will happen. If you understand it, then you read it, then apply it in various other scenarios. Do lot of writing ups, do lot of workings, then your concepts will be strong. Right? So artworks, very logical. Then when the sale happens, that time GST is payable. Next is no claim bonus. I have got my vehicle. I've done a insurance. I don't want to do, but the police will catch me. That's why I've got the insurance done. Correct? Because nowhere I will claim it. Say something happens and 1 year is got over. Now, second year when I went for renewal, they said, "Sir, excellent customer you are. You did not claim anything in the first year. You paid the insurance policy, but you didn't claim anything. So I'll give you a discount, sir. No claim bonus." Wow, 5 स्टार का ad कुछ नहीं करने पर भी अच्छा है ना? So when you take an insurance policy for 1 year, you have to renew it every year. You didn't claim anything. So second year they gave you a 5 star. Sorry, they gave you a no claim bonus. When they gave this no claim bonus, the GST department said that this no claim bonus is a consideration. Pay GST on it. Then we went to the Central Board of Indirect Tax and Customs, called as CBIC, said, "See, your officers are gone mad. They're saying on no claim bonus also I have to pay GST." That time they gave this circular saying that no supply, since the insured or the customer is not under a contractual obligation not to claim insurance. If my my vehicle has been banged horribly bad, then I will go to the insurance and claim it. Then I will not be very fortunate about the no claim bonus of some 5 rupees or 50 rupees which they give. And I will say, okay, I will get that 50 rupees, so I will not claim it. I will still claim it. So I'm not under an obligation not to claim it. It's just that I was driving very safely, nicely, goodly, and my neighbor, the other drivers also were driving nicely, because in driving, it is not that I will only make an accident. I will be going on my path. Some drunkard will come and bang me. Somebody driving on one way will come and bang me, because of which I will suffer loss. Correct? It is not you are driving, it is the other person driving also which matters. So I was fortunate enough for 1 year and nobody banged me, so I did not claim anything for repairs or any claim. So I'm not under a contractual obligation that I should not claim. I was safe, I did not claim. So the no claim bonus, what the insurance company is giving, this is not a consideration, it's a discount. It is in the nature of a discount which they're giving, and nothing and no supply on this aspect. So no GST will be payable on no claim bonus. Clear till here? Because lot of circulars are there. If you don't grasp it, then how will we learn it? We have to grasp it to learn it. Perfect. Next is salvage. Again, insurance aa gaya. Very important topic. Insurance, we understood no claim bonus. Now, in 1 year, I went to the insurance company and said, my vehicle is banged so badly, you have to replace most of the parts, except the engine, everything is gone. Okay. So, insurance company said, okay, please come to me. I will have two types of contract with you. When you came to me, I said you that I will deduct the salvage value and give you, which means what? Whatever balance parts you have. So engine, fine. Other than engine, there are other parts. I will deduct that and pay it to you. So insurance company said, see, in my policy, I had told that when I give you reimbursement, all this salvage value, salvage or wreckage, मतलब क्या? जो चीजें है, which is not a full part, but it's a small part. Like the brake is not a brake, it's a broken brake. Okay. The stand is not a stand, it's a broken stand. So those are all salvage or wreckage, right? Because it's not a part which can be sold, but it has some value. रद्दी में बेचोगे तो कुछ तो रुपए मिलेगा, right? So the insurance company said, when I'll give you any kind of policy claim, in your policy, I had mentioned that I will deduct the salvage value and give it to you. I did not read that policy document when I bought it. Of course, nobody reads it because we'll sign it and just give it off, which is a wrong practice. We have to read it. Now, this insurance company were smart. They said, I will deduct the value of salvage, and the salvage is your property. तुम उसको बेच के कुछ भी करो. So the insurance company, when it gives to me, This salvage is my responsibility. I can do anything with it. So there is no supply which the insurance company will have to pay. Right? So insurance company is not liable for any GST on this wreckage value. We are clear. Then second aspect is if insurance company do not deduct the value. The company was very good and they did not cheat me. They said, I will not deduct anything. Whatever is your claim, I will pay you. But that salvage or wreckage, what you have, no, wo mujhe de do. So I will go say that boss, 50,000 is the value. You give it to me, they'll give me full 50,000. I have to give them जो भी बचा हुआ brake, बचा हुआ clutch, बचा हुआ handle, बचा हुआ stand. I have to give the broken things. I have to give it to them. So what they will do, they will sell it. When they sell it, it is their property now because they've given me the claim and this all this wreckage is their property, right? It was my property. Since I got full claim, I will give this to them. So it is whose property now? It is the insurance company's property. Now, this insurance company, when it sells it, it has to pay GST. Clear? Simple, na? So it is logical that when they sell it, it is their property, they sell it, that time GST is payable. Fine. Some clarifications. Ramesh sold a car. This is fine. It is no supply. Old gold when you sell, is it a supply or no? Again, these are given through clarifications only. So old gold when we sell, is it supply or no? Again, it is not a supply because it's not my business to sell gold every day. I don't buy only gold. Where will I sell it? Right? So once in 10 months, I will buy one gold, and once in 10 years, I will sell one gold. Right? So it is not a supply because the person are not doing this in a regular basis. SRK paints some painting and sells them. However, the consideration is donated to a charity. Is it supply or not supply?
It is a supply.
It is a supply. Okay.
Even though it has been subsequently consideration has been given to the charity,
Hmm.
but first transaction is supply when he SRK got amount for his paintings.
Okay.
But if it is Shahrukh Khan, then it's different thing.
Hey, we are Shah Rukh Khan only. Which SRK are you talking? I am talking about Shah Rukh Khan only. So if it is Shah
So,
Rukh Khan, what happens?
no, then it is not supply because it is not his business.
Okay. So if you think Shah Rukh Khan paints one line, two line, three line, four lines, just four lines he draws. And if he gives an auction, how much rupees he will get? Minimum 1 crore. Because it is
Maybe,
drawn by SRK, he'll put a signature and give.
maybe, yes.
Minimum auction will go. Correct? So it is a supply if SRK done is. If you and me draw four lines, we will not get 1 rupee also. You may get, sorry, I will not get. Okay. So if a celebrity is doing it, he will get a consideration which is definitely because of his standing in the profession or standing in his occupation as an actor. So even if SRK paints something and sells it for business, the important definition of business, it says that business can be one time activity also. So even if Shah Rukh Khan has done a painting for one time, still it will be a supply. Activities which are one time can also be business. The definition of business is so wide that one time activity is also business. So in this case, if Shah Rukh Khan paints and sells it, it is a supply. And the second aspect, what you have brought out is very right, that even if he gives a charity, first it's a supply, then it's a charity. So it is a supply and liable to GST. Because another aspect is business includes vocation. Plus, ऐसे vocation occasionally मैं कुछ कर रहा हूँ, still it is a supply. Then recovery of food expenses from employees. You have a canteen, you're giving food to the employees, उनके salary से per day you're collecting 50 rupees. Is it a supply or no? It is also a supply because supplying it is in the course or further of business. You are not into the business of food, but in the course of business you are doing it. So that is also a supply transaction. Okay. Next clarification is in terms of oil exploration. So when you do any oil exploration, what happens is you have enter into a production sharing contract saying that this is the part from where I will explore the oil. Government is giving you the right? There will be a right which will be given, and they will say that the terms of the contract is whatever is the cost, we will reimburse to you, right? And whatever is the profit, we will do the sharing. That is the normal contract for any oil exploration. So whenever I incur the cost, I will recover the cost from the government. So I will recover the cost. This is this is called as cost petroleum. So whatever cost is incurred, I will get it. It's a cost petroleum. There is no supply as such. Because why I am recovering from them? Because I am doing some exploration for myself and I'm getting that cost reimbursed. So on cost petroleum, there is no GST. On cost petroleum, no GST. After the cost is incurred, I've been successful and I've explored some oil or some petrol. So when I extract some petrol, then there is a production. Now, this production, when it happens and I sell it, I will get some profit. From the sale consideration minus the cost, I will get some profit. This is called as profit petroleum. First is cost petroleum, second is profit petroleum. From this profit petroleum, I will pay to the government because this is a production sharing contract. Once I reach the production stage and I get a profit petroleum, I will have to share it with the government. So this contractor, I am a contractor, I will have to share the profit petroleum with the government. Now, this sharing, what I do is exempted because of the exemption notification, which says that any service which you're doing and providing it to the government, it is exempted. So, this cost petroleum is not taxable because it's just a reimbursement, and profit petroleum, which I'm paying to the government, is also not taxable because there is a exemption. Now, this cost petroleum is not a consideration received since the exploration is carried for self. For the contractor, he's doing the oil exploration for himself. So, any activity which you do for yourself is not a supply. For any supply to happen, there has to be persons. One is a supplier and one there should be a recipient. But in case of oil exploration, the logic what is given is till I do the exploration, it is for myself. So there is no GST on that. Clear?
So can you explain this? Because suppose, for example, Reliance's rig or ONGC rigs, they are doing for themselves, but after all, they are into business of this, no?
Correct. So when they do the business and on the production, when they sell it, on that they will pay GST. But what type of contract they enter into a government, that will also decide because they have to pay some consideration to the government. Now, government has become smart and then saying any oil exploration, what you're doing, we will enter into a production sharing contract. Only then we will give you the right. Because in this contract cost, some portion will go to the royalty that also government will get. So various aspects government will get when they enter into a production sharing contract, then the consideration or the profit share, what they're doing with the government, that is not taxable. That was the aspect what they wanted to bring out in this circular.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. Next clarification was if there is any commercial paper or any certificate of deposits. Okay. What are these? These are all basically instruments which are unsecured money market instruments, and they are in the nature of promissory note, right? It is like a FD. You have a fixed deposit. Similarly, you have certificate of deposits and you have commercial papers wherein they are exchanged on the stock exchanges to give some monetary consideration to them and to make it really available that just I bought something and somebody can use it. So these transactions are again transaction in money, and transactions, as we had discussed, transactions in money and security are not treated as supply. So here also CP and CD, commercial papers and certificate deposits, are not liable to GST. However, the related activities, that any commission or the transaction charges, brokerage charges, interest, that is liable to GST, because any transactions related to the exchange of these instruments is liable, but these instruments per se are not liable because they are all transactions in money. Next aspect is derivatives. Security is outside GST. Is derivatives outside GST? Yes, that is also outside GST because securities is defined to include stock, shares, derivatives also. So derivatives also derive their value from stocks and shares. So these derivatives, which are deriving the value from stocks and shares, they are also a security. They are neither goods nor services, no GST on them. So what kind of derivatives we see generally these days? Future contracts and forward contracts. So any futures, options, and forward contracts, what people deal in, they are also in the nature of derivatives and not subject to GST. But the brokerage, like our Zerodha, flyers, what they charge the commission charges or transaction charges. That is liable to GST, but the future contracts and future forward contracts, that is not liable to GST. But if the future contract is not fulfilled and they have to settle it by way of actual delivery of a commodity, right? Not shares. If it is for a commodity, then commodities are not securities. Securities only include shares and stocks. But if it is for a commodity, then they will have to deliver the commodity. If they are not fulfilling the future contract, then GST will be leviable. Clear? I will repeat. Derivatives is exempted. Future contracts and forward contracts of shares are exempted. Future contracts and forward contracts only of commodities also are exempted. But future contracts which are not fulfilled is equivalent to delivery of goods. Such delivery of commodities or goods will be liable to GST because there you are giving a actual delivery of goods. Okay. Other clarification is in terms of secured debts. Secured debt also is in the nature of derivatives and hence a security. Similarly, instruments like interest rate and foreign exchange rate swaps, various instruments have been coming up, are also of the nature of derivatives. Extending deposits, loans, and advances is exempt. So banks giving loans, banks taking advances, banks giving you FDs, they're all transactions in money, hence exempt. Another aspect in the banking sector is lending of securities. You have some securities, you will lend your securities to an approved intermediary. This intermediary will give the security to a borrower. Why? Because you have excess securities, you don't want it, and you want to earn something out of it, so you're lending it. And a borrower wants this securities because he has to have something called as he has to maintain cash reserve ratio. So they will buy the securities. They need it and you will sell it. You don't know the borrower and borrower doesn't know you. So you'll go approach an intermediary. Now this intermediary will take some commission from both the sides and he will charge lending fees to the borrower. Now this is a transaction in security, so it is exempt. But whatever charges or commission you pay, that is taxable. And the lending fees, what is charged by the borrower, that is also taxable. So securities is exempted, but any fees, transactions around that is taxable. security held by holding company in subsidiary company, will it be taxable? No, because a holding company is only holding shares in the subsidiary company. So it is not a supply. Why this confusion came then? Because there is an entry under the rate notification which says that any kind of a transaction between a holding and subsidiary will be taxable. That was the reason they've clarified. Just because there is a rate doesn't mean everything will become taxable. Yes, Priyanka?
Sir, that lending and the securities part, could you please explain, sir?
Yeah. So what happens in case of lender? So you have some securities. Okay, you have 1,000 Reliance shares with you, right? You have bought it. Now you're not using it. So you are giving those securities to a approved intermediary or a broker. Now this person will take your securities and give it to a borrower. So is this transaction supply? This is not a transaction of supply because you're dealing neither in goods nor in services. You're dealing in securities. So transaction in securities is not taxable, but the commission charges and the borrowing charges, that is taxable. You had some extra shares, you're given it, somebody has bought it, say banker. Banker has to maintain some liquidity. So he's bought those shares from you. Okay.
Okay.
So on that transaction, it's not a supply transaction, but the related costs, related commissions, right? Because intermediary, how will he earn then? He will charge some commission from both from you as well as from the buyer. So that will be taxable. Joint venture, very simple. When a unincorporate, what is a joint venture? Basically, when you're doing some project, you will set up a JV, which is called as joint venture. So this joint venture is a temporary association, and they make some calls saying that, okay, there are 5 joint venture partners. They will make a cash call because you have to start a project, right? So the JV will call for a cash call. So when the cash call is made, it is what that we need to start the business. Please pay the money what we had agreed. So this is not nothing, but it is a nature of capital contribution. So any capital contribution will be make on that tax will apply? No, because it is a capital contribution. So on this capital contribution, there is no GST is what is clarified here, right? And then, but if any member uses assets for the activity of a JV, now you got made all the contribution. Now you have to start production. So one person says that I have a machinery, I will give this machinery to start the business. So you give me the consideration. So when you give this machinery to the joint venture, it means you are making a supply. So had you not given to the outsider, you're giving it to the joint venture. So it is equivalent to a supply transaction. So if any capital is contributed, that is a capital contribution in terms of cash. But if you give some machinery, then that is a taxable transaction. Whether you give it as a contribution or you give it as an independent supply, both of that will be taxable. कि आप machinery दे रहे हो, that is a sale transaction. आप उसको capital contribution करके GST avoid नहीं कर सकते. Okay, it is a sale transaction that you are contributing you're contributing the machinery for the business, but it's a joint venture. It is not your own business. Joint venture is an independent association. If you cannot say that it is no 2 persons are involved, there are 2 persons involved. It is a separate person. So any contribution you're giving to the JV will be taxable other than cash. Okay. Other aspects, I think Schedule 1 activities, we know that permanent transfer of business, disposal of assets, which we have discussed, supply between related persons or distinct person is also there under Schedule 1. Any transaction between principal and agent is also there. And importation of services from related persons is also covered under Schedule 1. So what we'll do is, this we know basics. So we'll go to the complicated aspects, which is very, very critical for us, like this importation of services, right? Now, importation could be from various parts. So I've given a table which you can take a picture of or you can write it down. This will be very helpful to you. It will not there in your study material. This I've analyzed. When there is any importation of services and the consideration is present, right? And it is in the course or furtherance of business. No, it is not in the course of furtherance of business. Still, it is taxable because importation of services, as we have taken some examples, if consideration is present, even if it is not in the course of business, it is taxable. Second, importation of services, consideration is not present, but it is in the course or furtherance of business. Schedule 1 said, no, last line, if it is from a related person or is establishment outside India. So Schedule 1 says it is without a consideration, but where it is in the course or furtherance of business, still it is liable to GST. Why? Because it is from a related establishment. Now, how do you understand this? Say Infosys India has a related party outside India. Related party or establishment outside India. Say in US, they have Infosys US. Now, Infosys US has negotiated a price for cloud storage for all the centers. Now, for the cloud storage, US is paying, but whatever is cost for India, it will apportion and collect from Indian entity, right? So, what is this? This is a transaction, not the first transaction, the second transaction. The second transaction where it will apportion how much is payable by India and it will charge India. That is importation of services, even if it is consideration is not present, because it will not charge me, but it will tell me I have to pay something. It will just write a record and give it to me. So once I account it, it is equivalent to I have to pay, but it is in the course of India's business as well. So when it is consideration is not present, but as it is in the course of furtherance of business, it will be taxable only when it is from an establishment located outside India. Only in this scenario, right? Third scenario will be where it is importation of services, consideration is not present, and it is not in the course of furtherance of business. Both the criteria is not met, then it is not taxable. Okay. Other things, I think there are no complications. These were the major complications in supply chapter. So what we'll do is, since we have understood these topics, a good way will be that we can take up few questions which is there in our study material and we'll work through it so that any doubts we will take it up there. Okay, so I will share with you the study material. Go to question number 3. We'll take 2 to 3 questions. Yeah. You're able to see my screen. Question number 3.
Yes.
Okay. So Shivaji Private Limited, a registered supplier, supplies the following goods and services for construction of buildings and complexes. What does it do? It supplies the following supplies. It supplies the excavators for a required period at a per hour rate basis. Excavators it is giving on hourly basis. Manpower for operation of excavators at a per day rate, saying if you need a manpower per day, I will charge this much. And it also does soil testing and seismic evaluation on a sample rate, saying how much samples you give, based on that I will charge you. So this is the activities what they're doing. The excavators are invariably hired along with operators, which means a person who is taking an excavator are invariably hired along with the operators. Similarly, excavator operators are supplied only when the excavator is hired out. Fine. So they are all giving it together. For a given month, the receipts, which is exclusive of GST, are as follows. Higher charges for excavators, 18 lakhs. Service charges for supply of manpower for operation of the excavator, 20,000. Service charge for soil testing and seismic evaluation at 3 sites, 2,50,000 rupees. This is the value what they have received. Now we have to compute the GST payable by Shivaji for the given month with the following rates. Because rates we don't have to remember, they have given the rates. Hiring out of excavators 12%, supply of manpower service is at 18%. What will be the GST payable? Very, very simple question. 12% on both hire charges and manpower service. Why 12%, Pragya? They have given GST rate for hire. On manpower supply, they said it is 18%. Because it's a composite supply. Correct. Since from the question we can make out that manpower and excavators are given out together, that is the reason. On the manpower also, it is a composite supply. So we will apply 18% on that. Correct. So what is the answer then? Very simple then. 264,600. Wrong. Abhiram, your answer is wrong. So Pragya answer is correct. 263,400. So what you will do, you will take 18 lakhs and 20,000. on 18 plus 20, 18 lakh 20,000 rupees. What is the GST rate? On 18 lakh 20,000, it is 12%. So 12% on 18 lakh 20,000 and 2 lakh 50,000, 18%, which gives you 2 lakh 63,400. Correct? Next, we'll go to question number 4. Mr. Kanjilal Adani is an oil exploration. Somebody was asking question like equivalent. So we have exactly a question. Mr. Kanjilal Adani is an oil exploration and production contractor and is registered under GST in the state of Gujarat. He entered into production sharing contract. Sorry, he entered into a production sharing contract with the government of Gujarat. So he is into the business of oil exploration and he entered into a PSC, production sharing contract with the government of Gujarat, wherein he gets a license to explore, exploit, and sell the petroleum crude or natural gas from the government in Aliabat oil field. So there's some oil field. He can explore crude and natural gas, both. And this, what we had discussed, will apply for both in lieu of royalty and a share in profit petroleum. So instead of paying royalty, he will share the profit petroleum with the government of Gujarat. In the month of June, Mr. Kanjilal Adani explored the petroleum reserve at Aliabet oil field. He got a portion of the petroleum silt, which is non-taxable under GST, worth 3 lakh rupees as a part of compensation. This petroleum silt is a part of cost petroleum as per the contract entered with the government. Now examine the taxability of the petroleum silt which is received by Mr. Kanjilal Adani. What is your answer? Right, Pragya. Your answer is correct. Others? As we had understood, in case of oil exploration, right, you will have cost petroleum and profit petroleum. What is cost petroleum? They've called it as silt and anything. What is this basically? This is a cost which is incurred by him. And this it's clearly mentioned this petroleum silt is a part of cost petroleum as per the contract. So he's getting that. So whatever money he gets will be taxable? No. So this is a cost petroleum. On cost petroleum, it is equivalent to a reimbursement. So on cost petroleum, that is not a supply, so not liable to GST. So you have to mention that as per the circular, the cost petroleum is not a consideration received by the oil exploration and production contractors when it is a production sharing contract and thus not taxable per se. Yes, Rakesh.
Sir, in that case, what is the importance of giving that in the bracket that non-taxable under GST in the
They
question?
want to say that petroleum as such is not taxable, but for which he got consideration. Okay. So the reason why they are giving you is that it
Okay.
is not taxable, but will it be taxable because you are getting it from the government?
Okay.
So you should be careful and say that yes, it is a part of a cost petroleum. If it is part of a cost petroleum, it will not be treated as a supply and it will be exempted. It is not taxable. Next, let's go to question number 11. Yeah. Mr. Happy has a huge residential property which is located at the prime location in Mumbai, Maharashtra. Okay, so this will also, while we answer this question, we will also go understand a concept of uh, tenancy rights. Okay, now he has a huge residential property. Who Mr. Happy has it? He has let out the first and second floor of two of his property to Mr. Peace for residential purpose in April. Mr. Peace surrenders his tenancy right. He has got it. He's a tenant now. Now, Mr. Peace surrenders his tenancy rights to Mr. Serene for a tenancy premium of 10 lakh rupees on 1st June. Mr. Serene has also paid the applicable stamp duty and registration charges on transfer of the tenancy rights. Okay. And moreover, Mr. Serene has agreed to pay a monthly rent of 1 lakh rupees to Mr. Happy from June. Determine the taxability of transactions involved in the given case for the month of June. So first is Mr. Happy has given it. Now the amount is not given, so we cannot determine the taxability of it. Correct? So whatever consideration is given, what is the information given, based on that we can decide it. Not taxable as it's for residential purpose. Correct. That is also true. Since we have to consider various aspects. So this monthly rent for Mr. Happy, we don't know first of all. Even if there was some consideration, it is residential property, so it will be exempted. So next we'll go to Mr. Peace, who has the tenancy right. He's a tenant. Now he's surrendered his tenancy rights, saying that I will give my tenancy rights to somebody and that person can use the property and he can use it. Now, when he surrenders this tenancy right, will that be again exempted or no? Rent, yes, Samyanathan, you're all right. Rent residential purpose for unregistered person is exempted. Correct. So you're all talking about this 1 lakh rupees. 1 lakh is exempted. Yes, that is right. So it is a renting for residential property to an unregistered person. So it is exempted. Very true. Now, tenancy rights. There are two aspects, 1 lakh and 10 lakhs. 1 lakh exempted. I all agree with you with full heart. Yes, it is exempted. What happens to 10 lakh rupees? This giving away of tenancy right is also called as pagdi. Okay. Pagdi means one time amount what you give. Okay. To get the tenancy right. So Mr. Happy gives his tenancy rights, not Mr. Happy, Mr. Peace. Mr. Peace is the tenant now. He has the tenancy rights. His tenancy rights, he's surrendering it to Mr. Serene, and Serene has paid 10 lakh rupees for him. Even if it is for residential dwelling, the exemption talks that you will get exemption only when you give a property for rent and that rent is exempted. But For the surrendering of tenancy right, the exemption is not talking anything. So it is not exempted. So the 10 lakh given for the tenancy premium, even if it is for residential property, it is liable to GST. So the tenancy right is a type of intangible, immovable right. It is a right which is given to the tenant. So it will be taxable to the tenant. Okay. So the service provided by the second person, Mr. Peace, for the 10 lakhs will be taxable and liable to GST. It is not sale of property. Yes. If sale of property, then exempt, you're right. Very true. Understood? Any doubts in supply chapter? Any topic which you want me to discuss or take specifically on? I think there are, in terms of circulars, in terms of priority sector lending certificates, there is a clarification. I'll just share that with you. Yeah. There was another clarification which said that there is something called as priority sector lending scripts. So will this priority sector lending scripts be taxable? Yes, scripts or certificates you call. They are all instruments, which means they're all goods. So they are freely tradable duty-free scripts and are in the nature of goods. So GST will be payable on them. So this priority sector lending certificates which has been issued, they are freely tradable scripts and they are in the nature of goods, hence taxable. We know what is composite supply, we know mixed supply, right? Okay. So supply with explanation and things we have covered. We'll take a break of 5 minutes, right? And we'll come back and we'll discuss on charge of GST and place of supply. Okay, those are the two topics we have covered. Supply was a major thing we have covered. In the next 1 hour or so, we'll cover charge of GST, reverse charge, basically, which is the major portion there. Reverse charge will cover, and then we'll cover important aspects I will teach you in charge, and in the then we'll learn about the place of supply. So we'll come back. It is 7:50 now. By 7:55, we'll assemble back. Thank you. So now what we'll do is we have understood the concept of supply. We'll move to the concept of charge of GST. Okay. Before that, there's a question for you that we know the charge, why charge is important, why CGST and SGST, why no is IGST. When taxes are to be paid correctly, that is say in case of a intrastate transaction, you have to pay CGST and SGST. What happens when instead of CGST and SGST, IGST is paid? What happens in that situation? Because ultimately, few students or few people have seen that they're not bothered, right? They say ultimately tax is tax. So instead of paying CGST and SGST, if I paid IGST, तो क्या हो जाता है पूरा? मैंने तो जीएसटी पे किया है ना, आई इनकम टैक्स पे करके थोड़े मैं जीएसटी का क्लेम कर रहा हूँ. So what happens in the first scenario? So you will understand कि इसका implication क्या है.
It's not, tax paid. Consider as a not tax paid, because ultimately tax should go to state and central government. Instead, it is going as a IGST, and that will be shared as per the decided ratio. And so this is not. This is a wrong charge of the GST itself.
Right. It is wrong. I am agreeing it is wrong. So what happens then?
We have to correct it.
So I have to pay IGST again?
No,
I paid
not
1 crore rupees of CGST, 1 crore of SGST. Now,
yes.
are you telling me to pay 2 crores of IGST? Our IGST of 2 crores is paid. I should pay 1 crore of CGST and 1 crore of SGST?
Not to pay again, but we have to make application for refund of this wrongly paid IGST.
Okay.
And then, simultaneously we will make payment of this. So, during a transitional period, yes, we may end up with paying double amount.
So the impact will be so huge that when you pay a wrong taxes, you have to pay the taxes first. There is no question of reimbursement first. Government says, you pay me the correct tax, then I'll give you a refund of wrong tax.
Yes.
So if the place of supply is decided wrongly and you've paid wrong taxes, you have to pay the right taxes first. You have to pay the CGST of SGST first and then claim refund of the IGST. So that is the implication of charge. So the charge, when we say, when the location of supplier, place of supply can't be dealt lightly, it has to be dealt in a strict manner, that when a taxes has to be paid as IGST, it has to go as IGST. If it goes as C and S, you will have to pay that again and claim the refund of the wrong tax. So place of supply is what? The constitution empowered the union to make the rules, and hence it is only there in the IGST law. So when we go to place of supply in the next chapter after this, we'll see that it is only there under the IGST law, because government has given power to the central government to make the IGST. That's why it is there only in the IGST law. From there, it will apply to the C and S also. So when you make C and S also, you will borrow provisions from the of place of supply from IGST. And place of supply is the place where the supply is consumed. So how is it consumed? When we will see that when it is goods is easily determinable, when it's services it is difficult. That's why we have place of supply rules to guide us. What is it? Okay, am I going to the wrong slide? Just a moment. So that was the basics for place of supply. We'll go to the charge first, then we'll come back to the place of supply. Okay. In charge, we know that when if it is the location of supplier and place of supply are in the same state, it is a intrastate supply, very clear. And when the location of supplier and place of supply are in two different state, then it is a IGST transaction. So what does charge say? That it says 9. 9 is the charging section. It says that subject to the provisions of subsection 2, there shall be levied a tax called central goods and service tax on all intrastate supply except alcoholic liquor for human consumptions at a rate which may be notified. So when you're doing any intrastate transaction, you will pay C GST. Similarly, it will be under the SGST. So you will pay C and S in case of intrastate transaction. If it is an interstate transaction, we'll pay I. And on this 5 petroleum products from a future date, GST will be applicable. And 9.3 and 9.4 is for reverse charge mechanism. It says that when you enter into specific transactions, you have to pay reverse charge. And it also continues to say that on specified category of people, a specified class of persons, also reverse charge will come. Those specified class we will notify separately. So 9.3 reverse charge is separate, 9.4 reverse charge is separate. 9.3 reverse charge is only on those category which is there under the notification number 13 for services and notification number 4 for goods. Right? We will go through that notification to understand what is 9.3 and what is 9.4 is a separate notification. So this is fine. Basics. Reverse charge in case of a normal transaction, supplier pays it. In case of a reverse charge transaction, the receiver pays it. This we are clear that when a supplier pays it, it is forward charge. When the receiver pays it, it is reverse charge. Yeah, this is the important aspect, which is supply of goods, whether it is taxable under reverse charge. This is the reverse charge notification for goods, notification number 4 of 2017 and notification of 13 of 2017 for services. So we'll quickly go through this notification to understand, because this you will have to learn it for your exam, saying that what are the category on which GST will be payable under reverse charge. So first we will go through the reverse charge for goods. Yeah, reverse charge for goods says that we have to also see the supplier. Most of the cases it will be the agriculturist, but in some cases it will be any unregistered person. So when it is cashew nuts, BD wrapper leaves, tobacco leaves, if an agriculturist is supplying and you are any registered person, then you as a registered person, you have to pay GST on this. On what items? Cashew nuts, BD wrapper leaves, tobacco leaves. So basically, these are supplies made by agriculturists and it is taxable. So they are saying that you registered person, you come and pay the tax. And any essential oils other than those of citrus fruit, namely peppermint and other mints, other than these oil, you have to pay if you are buying from a unregistered person. Similarly, silk yarn, any person who manufactures silk yarn from the raw silk or silkworm cocoons, okay, that person will only do the distribution, you will have to pay it. Then similarly, raw cotton. So these are all basically, if you see, these are all industry prone items. Like the first, cashew nuts going to the cashew nut industry or going to the food industry. BD wrapper leaves and tobacco is going to the lot of the tobacco industry. Silk yarns going to the garment industry, cotton to the full cotton industry. So there is a loss, but they have not used other agricultural products, right? Because there it is exempted, like fruits, vegetables. When you buy, they have not mentioned here because that is also grown by an agriculturist, but they are all exempted. That's the reason they have not mentioned here. But these products is going to the bigger industries and it is taxable. That's why they have brought in here. Okay. So silk yarn, when you're buying raw cotton, when you're buying, you have to pay GST. Lottery tickets, very few states you will find this, but few states have it. When the state government supplies the lottery tickets to a lottery distributor or the agent, this lottery distributor or selling agent will have to pay GST on it. Okay, the supply has to start from state government, but state government will not charge GST. It will be the distributor or selling agent who will pay the GST. Then used vehicles, seized and confiscated goods, old and used goods, waste and scrap when it is sold by the central government, excluding the ministry, railway ministry, then the registered person who's buying, he will have to pay GST. Then PSLC, we dealt know that PSLC is a goods. That was a clarification which is given. So when you buy any priority sector lending certificate from any registered person to a registered person, even if the supplier is registered, it doesn't say unregistered, he is registered, still reverse charge mechanism will apply. So the important thing what we learn from this is supplier, what category they mentioned, that is important. Even if he's registered, some cases like this, like lawyer also, even if he's registered, we will still pay reverse charge on that. Then this new addition, which is very important, which you may expect a question from your metal scrap. So any metal scrap, when a unregistered person is supplying and you are a receiver, okay, you are a receiver buying the metal scrap, you will have to pay reverse charge on it. Supplier, there is so much of control on this. They're trying to levy TCS under income tax. They were not successful. So now they're trying with GST that any metal scrap seller who is selling the scrap, he's not paying GST. So you, the registered person, you are buying metal scraps. So pay the GST under reverse charge. Okay. That is on reverse charge on goods. Just remember these pointers and apply nothing else in this. Now, reverse charge on services. This is very important. The list also is very clear. Nothing nothing much to discuss there. But I will highlight the few pointers from which we will do an exercise and understand who will pay the GST under GTA. Okay. I've recategorized it. You'll find serial number 1 is not there because I've regrouped it according to the importance. So advocate services, advocate service providing any service to a business entity, reverse charge. Now it just says individual advocate, registered or unregistered, doesn't matter. Even if he's registered, you have to pay it. Arbitral tribunal, similar to advocate. Service provided by a sponsorship. Here it is critical because there's an amendment which says that the nature of service is provided by way of sponsorship to any body corporate or partnership firm. So earlier it was any person. Now they said any person other than a body corporate. So any person other than a body corporate. Metal scrap is sold by registered person, forward charge applicable? Yes, because it says if you're buying from an unregistered person, Samyanathan, if you're buying from an unregistered person, only then you are liable. If you're buying from a registered person, that registered person only will charge it. Okay. Now, in terms of sponsorship, any person is giving sponsor to a body corporate, then the body corporate who is the sponsorer, they will pay reverse charge. Now, take this example. Tata is a sponsorer. Okay. Now, they are sponsoring some sports body, not IPL. Leave that IPL. Some small sports body they are sponsoring. Okay. Now you tell me who is the supplier, who is the receiver. I've written here, but just ignore this for time being. Tata is the sponsorer and the sports body is receiving the sponsorship. So in this case, who is the supplier of service, who is the receiver of service? That if you understand, then it will be clear.
Tata is the supplier of sponsorship services, and spot body is a receiver.
Okay. Others. So you said this recently amended. Yes, Pragya, this is recently amended. And you'll see in the updates that this is there and it will be included. I will just tell you. In the statutory updates, I think which is not yet uploaded, there you will find that any person other than a body corporate is amended. Okay, so if Tata is the supplier and sports body is the receiver, what is Tata supplying?
Sponsorship services.
It is not supplying sponsorship services. It is paying for the sponsorship. Can it pay and it can supply both?
Okay, yes, it can't.
Correct? It can't. So the criteria to decide is who is paying the consideration will be the receiver of service. Okay. So in this case, Tata is paying the consideration. They are sponsoring. They're sponsoring means they're giving the money. So the person who is paying the money is generally the receiver. 99% that criteria will apply. So in this case, Tata is paying the consideration because the sports body is providing the marketing service. So the person who receives the money is the service provider and the person who pays the money is the service receiver. Right? So Tata is paying the money to the sports body. The sports body is the service provider. It is getting money, but it is the service provider. So Tata is the receiver of service. It is paying consideration. So who will pay reverse charge? The recipient. So Tata will pay the reverse charge in this case. Got it?
Yes, sir. It's a tricky, of course.
Correct. So who will pay will be the recipient. Recipient generally in sponsorship, you will get confused that sports body is receiving the consideration, so it will pay reverse charge. It will not be the reverse charge. Reverse charge will be paid by Tata. Okay. Earlier, the point was any supplier like this sport body was any person. Now they said any person other than a body corporate, which means if Tata is providing sponsorship to the sports body, if it instead of sports body, it's a sports company, right? Then that sports company only will pay GST under forward charge, not Tata. That is the amendment here. Okay, so the person who is providing the service should be any person other than a body corporate. If it's a body corporate, it itself will discharge the GST. Then in terms of renting, we are clear. Okay, government services. Yes, renting is your renting of residential dwelling by any person to any registered person. Here also there is amendment 5AA said that they gave a clarification that if it is for a proprietor and proprietor is using it for his personal purpose, then no reverse charge. But if the proprietor is using it for his office, only then reverse charge. Because if you say a registered person, I am registered under GST, for my house rent, should I pay reverse charge? Technically, yes, because it says any registered person. But then they gave a clarification here and they said that if it's a proprietor and if that proprietor is using for his personal purpose, then no reverse charge. Clear? So renting, you may expect this in case of a proprietor. Proprietor for personal use. Next is service by way of renting of any immovable property other than residential dwelling, which means it's a commercial property. Any property other than immovable property. If it's an unregistered person, the landlord is an unregistered person and the receiver is a registered person. Then registered person has to pay. Again, there is an amendment. It says that any registered person other than a person who has opted for composition levy. Because if a composition levy person is there and you're telling him to pay reverse charge, he is only paying GST of 1%, he'll die. So that's why he said that, boss, please make me alive. The government realized and they said that any registered person other than a composition levy person, you can not pay the GST, a composition person, even if he's getting, the landlord is unregistered, still he will not pay reverse charge. Because he cannot get the credit, 18% वो pay करेगा तो मर जाएगा. So that's why any registered person other than a composition levy person will be liable for reverse charge. Director services, we know director providing services to the company. So these are all vanilla, plain vanilla service. Now GTA. Now in GTA, I want to highlight that who is the service recipient, right? We have this 6 category of service recipient. If it's a factory, society, a person registered under GST law, body corporate and things. But who is the receiver? For this, I have a special chart for you. Yeah, this chart. Because in a GTA, you have consignor and consignee. So who is the receiver, consignor or consignee?
Consignee is receiver.
Consignee is receiver of goods. But who is the receiver of GTA service? The provision says that in case of a GTA, the person who pays the freight amount, he is the receiver. Because it is not fixed that consignor only will be the recipient or consignee only will be the recipient, because anybody can pay. Sometimes consignor pays, sometimes consignee pays, right? So the person who is liable to pay freight, he is the person who is liable to pay GST. Okay, so we'll run through few examples. A consignor is a company and consignee is a partnership firm. It can be registered or unregistered. The person who is liable to pay GST, a person who is liable to pay freight is a company. So in this case, you tell me who is the person liable to pay GST?
Company.
Okay. Correct. No doubt
Company.
there. Company. Next, GTA is there. Consignor is partnership firm. Consignee is a registered dealer, Mr. A. And the person who is liable to pay freight is Mr. A. Here, who is the person liable to pay GST? Mr. A. Right? No doubts on that. So Mr. A is paying. So far, so good. Third category, partnership firm, registered or unregistered, I don't know. Consignee is a registered dealer, Mr. A. Person liable to pay freight is partnership firm. Here, who is liable to pay GST?
Partnership firm.
Partnership firm. Clear. Fourth category, cooperative society, registered dealer is a consignee, person liable to pay freight is Mr. A. So person liable to pay GST. Sir, क्या बोर कर रहे हो? बोल दो ना Mr. A. ठीक है, मैं बोल देता हूँ. Fifth category, cooperative society is registered or unregistered, I don't know. And consignee is Mr. A. Here, cooperative society is the person liable to pay freight. Here, tell me who is liable to pay GST. Hello, internet issues?
Cooperative society.
If cooperative society, yeah, madam, your answer, you are saying Mr. Pragya is, Miss Pragya, sorry, is saying that cooperative society is unregistered, then Mr. A. Okay.
Cooperative society, sir.
Irrespective of registered or unregistered. Correct. Because cooperative society is one of those 7 categories who has to pay irrespective of whether they're registered or unregistered. That's why even if cooperative society is unregistered, still they will pay the reverse charge. Okay. Question number 6. Company A is unregistered or unregistered, I don't know. Company B is registered or unregistered, we don't know. Person liable to pay freight is Mr. B or Company B. So in this case, who will be liable to pay GST?
Company B, sir.
Company B.
Company B, because company is one of those 7 categories. Question number 7. Unregistered dealer is A and he's a consignor, and consignee is registered dealer Y. Okay. The person liable to pay freight is unregistered dealer A. So in this case, who will be the person liable to pay GST?
Is exempt, sir.
Okay. Others, anybody wants to contradict?
Registered dealer Y on the basis of RCM.
This is all under RCM. We are all talking about RCM. The heading itself is on RCM, madam. If GTA was registered, तो फिर इतना question would not have come. Here, in all these cases, it is RCM itself. GTA is not charging anything. He is giving you a consignment note. So you are saying registered dealer Y. Okay. The correct answer is it is exempt. The reason is, who is the supplier? GTA. Who is the recipient? The person who pays freight. Who is paying freight? Unregistered dealer. So whose liability we have to see? We have to see from GTA and unregistered dealer A. Registered dealer Y will not come into the picture at all because he is only a consignee of goods. He is not a recipient of service, because recipient of service for the purpose of GTA is the person who is liable to pay freight, and person liable to pay freight is A. A is unregistered, so it is a exempt supply. This is the point which I want to bring in. Fine. We'll take a few more scenarios so our understanding is clear. Same unregistered dealer A is a consignor, consignee is registered dealer Y, liable to pay freight is registered dealer Y. In this case, who is the person liable to pay GST?
Registered dealer Y.
Perfect. Registered dealer Y. Next scenario, unregistered dealer A and there is unregistered dealer B. Freight is paid by unregistered dealer B. In this case,
Exempted.
Exempt, sir.
exempted. Very good. Company C. GTA is unregistered. There's a little twist here. GTA is unregistered. Company C is registered. Partnership firm is there. And person liable to pay freight is Company C. Company C will pay?
Company C.
Right. Next scenario, unregistered dealer A, registered dealer Y. Now GTA is unregistered, but dealer Y is registered. So who will pay the GTA? Who will pay the GST on RCM?
Registered dealer Y.
Y, sir. Dealer
Okay.
Y.
In this scenario,
Exempt, sir.
Exempted.
exempted. Correct. Question number 13.
Exempted.
Exempted, sir.
Now GTA here is registered and GTA declares that he will pay GST under forward charge mechanism.
GTA will pay, sir, tax.
GTA will pay.
GTA will pay. Correct. So when he declares that he will pay, then the person liable to pay is GTA. This scenario where GTA is registered and company C and partnership firm is there, and GTA declares that he will pay GST under FCM. Here
GTA
also GTA will pay. Right. So
GTA will pay,
where
sir.
GTA declares that he will pay or he charges GST, then he will pay. In all other scenarios, it will be the reverse charge, and reverse charge we'll have to see whether the recipient, that is, who is paying the consideration, what is his nature. Okay.
Sir, in this GTA point, one thing we need to remember, when the forward charges 5%, 12% are there. If it is a 5%, there is no input. If there is a input is taken by GTA, then 12% GST will be applicable.
Correct. So if GTA charges 5%, okay, like in our scenario, let's take this scenario. Here, GTA said that he will charge, right? He will charge, and recipient is company C. Now, if GTA is charging 5%, it means no ITC, correct? So company C can claim ITC or no?
No ITC, sir.
Others,
no ITC, sir.
the answer is absolutely wrong, because I will show you the slide. The ITC or no ITC is from the perspective of the supplier. Supplier cannot claim the ITC, but I am not the supplier. I am the receiver. Okay. So when the GTA charges 5%, he will charge under forward charge. Person liable to pay GST is GTA, but he is charging 5% to me. I can claim ITC. The GTA cannot claim ITC. If he can claim ITC, he will charge higher rate. If he cannot claim ITC, he will charge lower rate. So no ITC, when they say it is no ITC from the perspective of the supplier and not from the perspective of receiver, receiver can claim the ITC. Okay. No ITC is from the perspective of supplier, because if supplier can claim ITC, then it means he can pay higher rate and claim the ITC. That's why the rate is higher. But if he cannot claim ITC, then the rate is lower. So don't get confused that you cannot claim ITC. If somebody is charging you GST, you can claim it. Clear? And second case is when you pay reverse charge, you will always pay at 5%. You will not pay at 12%. Right?
Sir, give us with the example, sir.
Yeah. A GTA is registered. Okay. He is charging you transportation charges of 10,000 rupees. GST will be paid by whom? GTA. Since he's registered, he will pay. Correct? If he's not registered, then reverse charge. If he's registered, he will always pay. Okay. Now, when he has to declare that I will collect GST. Now, GST will be paid by GTA. He will have inputs because he is buying, say, lorry. He's bought the lorry on which, for what value? For, say, approximately 10 lakh rupees. On this, he has claimed ITC. Can he claim ITC or no? Is it block credit? In block credit, one of the categories motor vehicles. So can he claim ITC or no, first of all? Lorry is a motor vehicle. Generally, motor vehicle is blocked. But if you're using a motor vehicle for transportation of goods or passengers, then you can claim it. So he can claim ITC. Can. Okay. He can claim ITC because he's using it for transportation of goods. So 10 lakh के ऊपर 28% लगे, 18% से 1,80,000. Now he will see that I have so much of credit. Why should I lose it? So he is giving a declaration saying that I will claim ITC. Okay. He will claim ITC, so this 1,80,000 will be available to him. So in this case, he will charge 12% because he is claiming ITC. Now this 12 ITC, when he is charging on this 10,000 rupees, it will be 1,200. Correct? You're understanding, no? I'm not putting it in a structure, but I'm trying to make you understand the ITC concept. So he's claimed ITC. So output GST, he will charge on this 10,000 rupees at 1,200 and the receiver can claim it. Right? Now say same scenario. Second scenario, GTA is registered. He's charging 10,000 rupees for the transportation. Who will pay GST? He is registered and he is giving a declaration. So he will charge GTA only will pay the GST. He has no ITC. He's not claimed any ITC. Okay. Now on the lorry, he didn't claim, but he had some balance claim of say 5,000 or say 500 rupees ITC. Okay. Now he is charging output GST at 5%. So on this 5%, 10,000 Q per 5% is how much? 500 rupees. Now for discharging this 500, he has this ITC. Can he claim this ITC?
No,
He
because
cannot
he is
claim.
paying the tax at the lower rate.
Correct. So once he is taking the lower rate, he cannot claim the ITC. This cannot be claimed. So he is charging you 500. The receiver, for the receiver, 500 is the credit and he can claim it. There is no restriction for the receiver. Receiver can claim the 500 rupees what is charged by the GTA.
Sir, in both cases, a receiver can claim the ITC from that point. Okay.
Correct. It is always a restriction from the supplier that they cannot claim it. Okay. Yes, Rakesh.
Sir, whether to charge 12% or 5% is a one-time exercise or it's a discretionary for GTA. Sometimes he charges 12%, sometimes he charges 5%, or it's a one-time exercise. One time he has to.
Yearly one declaration he has to give.
Okay.
One declaration before the starting of the year he has to give.
I think it is applicable for every year, sir.
Every year, yes, sir. Okay, next is renting of motor vehicles. Similar to GTA, you have renting of motor vehicles. When there is renting of motor vehicles, including cost of fuel, then the service provided by a body corporate. If this renting company is a body corporate, then the body corporate will pay tax always under forward charge. Okay. If the renting is by a body corporate, then whether you claim full ITC, then 12%. If you claim limited ITC, then 5%. Okay. When it is service provided by a body corporate. But if it is service provided by other than body corporate, say partnership or proprietorship firm, and they are supplying it to other body corporate, then you have an option again, supplier can charge 12% or 5%. But if the service is supplied to a body corporate, which means a receiver is a body corporate, then you have to pay at 5% if supplier is availing limited ITC. But if supplier is availing full ITC, then he will pay 12%, which means what? in case of renting of motor vehicle, including cost of fuel, if the supplier wants to claim the ITC, he will have to always charge under forward charge. And if he wants to claim limited ITC, what is limited ITC? Saying only on other motor vehicles I'll claim it. Other than that, I'll not claim on rent or the other expenses. Then it is limited ITC. So if he's claiming limited ITC, then he can charge 5%, or he can make a declaration saying I am a limited ITC person. So receiver will pay at 5%. So only in one scenario, reverse charge is possible, when it is a body corporate and supplier is availing limited ITC. So generally GTA and this will get confused, but they are very different. In only one scenario, reverse charge will come in case of motor vehicle with cost of fuel. In case of other renting, reverse charge will not come. Only when it is renting motor vehicle with including cost of fuel, only then RCM will come. Yeah, in terms of charge, I think that is important. Other important thing in charge is composition levy. Composition levy, you have 10(1) and 10(2). 10(1) or 10(2) is called as the composition scheme for goods, and 10(2)A is composition scheme for services. Even though 10(1) and 10(2) is called as composition scheme for goods, there you still have restaurant service, because initially composition scheme was there only for trader, manufacturer, and restaurant service provider, right? But the rate for both manufacturer and trader is both 1% only. Okay, it is both 1%. But for manufacturer, it is 1% of the turnover in the state. It is turnover in the state. For trader, it is 1% of turnover of taxable supplies. That is the difference. So when you calculate 1% for manufacturer, you will take taxable supplies and non-taxable supplies also. On that also he will have to pay 1%, but a trader will have to pay only on taxable supply of goods and services. Restaurant services, it is 5% for composition. For non-composition also it is 5%. But the impact will be huge, because if you are registered under composition scheme, you don't have to pay reverse charge on the rental. If you are a non-composition scheme person, then you have to pay GST under reverse charge, because there you're not getting that exemption. Composition scheme for services, it is 6%.
Sir, could you please repeat on the restaurant charges, the composition levy for the reverse charge?
Yeah, reverse charge, we have seen that if you're a composition scheme dealer and you're a restaurant service provider, you're having a hotel. If you are registered under composition scheme, you don't have to pay reverse charge on the rent, right? Because of that amendment which says that reverse charge on commercial rent will not be applicable for a composition person, right?
Right, sir.
So you don't have to pay reverse charge. That burden is gone for you. But you will be under composition only up to the turnover of 1.5 crores, because composition scheme, that limit is there. So if you're a small hotelier, you can go for this and save the reverse charge on rent. Now you're a big restaurant, your turnover is 2.5 crores. What is your output rate? 5%. Correct? Or say not even 2.5 crores, your turnover is just 1.6 crores, just 10 lakhs more than the limit. Okay? You are under 1.6 crores turnover, you have to pay 5% GST on your sales. Should you pay reverse charge on your rent? You have to pay, because
Yes,
that
sir.
exemption is available only for a composition scheme dealer, not for a normal restaurant who is not under composition. That
Okay,
is the
sir, got
point
it.
of it. Yes, sir. Charge. Okay. Charge, we'll take up some questions. Question number 5 and 6. Examine whether the suppliers are eligible for composition levy under Section 10. Technology Enterprises, he is registered in Jalandhar, Punjab. He is engaged in manufacturing and supplying of computer systems. Its aggregate turnover in the previous financial year of 22-23 was 125 lakhs. Technology Enterprises supplies a computer system manufactured by it within the state of Punjab only. So what is the meaning of it? That a composition dealer should do only intrastate supply. If he does interstate supply, he will be out of the composition scheme. So this person is doing only within the state of Punjab. With a view to expand its business operation, it will also start providing the repair services of computer systems in Punjab for the financial year 22-23, next year 23-24. So the broad question here asked is whether the suppliers are eligible for composition scheme. So this person, is he eligible for composition scheme?
Yes.
Up to what limit?
150 lakh.
Correct. 150 lakhs is thing, but he wants to get into providing repair service. Can a composition dealer do repair services?
No.
So he cannot be under composition scheme. The benefit of composition is to small dealers. Now he is a small dealer, his turnover is 1.5 crores, and you're throwing him away from the composition just because he wants to do repair services. Very unfair. Ms. Pragya is supporting this small dealer and she's saying you can. The correct answer is yes, he can, because his turnover is less than 1.5 crores in the previous year. So in this year, up to 1.5 crores of turnover, he can do it. And to these small dealers, they've said that we will give you a leeway, saying that small portion, which is called as marginal services, you can do. Now, how do you decide how much of marginal service you can do? Is consider a turnover of the previous year, uska up to 10% or 5 lakhs, whichever is higher. Last year's turnover was 125 lakhs. 10% of that is how much? 12.5 lakhs or 5 lakhs, whichever is higher. So which is higher? 12.5 lakhs. So up to 12.5 lakh rupees, you can do services. So you can do repair services up to 12.5 lakhs. Up to 12.5 lakhs, you can provide services. He will be under composition if his turnover in this year is up to 1.5 crores and he can provide services up to 12.5 lakhs. Clear? Second, Mr. Siddharth and Sons, registered in Delhi, owns a restaurant, Tasty Foods, with a turnover of 112 crores in the financial year 22-23. In view of growing customer demand, it also wants to start intrastate trading of juices. Can he be registered or continue under composition? No. Why no? Because he's getting into trading.
Yes, he can.
Can. Okay. Right. He can, because the limit is 1.5 crores for what? Manufacturer, trader, and restaurant service provider. So he is a restaurant service provider. He can do trading and restaurant service providing up to 1.5 crores. So he can continue the registration for 23-24, provided his food and trading business are below 1.5 crores in 23-24. Question number C. Sitaram Associates is engaged in running a restaurant chain, and they are in Sikkim. It has turnover of 73 lakhs in 23-24. And this year it decides to shut down the food chain and wants to start intrastate architectural services. Can they do so?
No.
Why, madam? Marginal service provision is not applicable to restaurant services. Restaurant already is a service, so it will not be applicable for restaurant services, because the provisional thing is for a trader who wants to do it. Now you have to have a bifurcation in this case in the third exercise in a scenario number C, that 10.1 and 10.2 and 10.2a is separate. So 10.1 and 10.2 is for manufacturer, trader, and a restaurant service provider. So Sikkim, the limit is 75 lakhs. TK, he's below that limit. Now, if he wants to close down the business, he will not be eligible for composition scheme under 10.1 or 10.2. He will have to take the benefit under 10.2a. Okay. 10.2a is only for a registered person who is eligible for services. So, in view of this, what he has to do is he cannot avail the benefit of 10.2a if his aggregate turnover is more than 50 lakhs. Since for that 10.2a services, what is the limit? For pure services, the limit is 50 lakhs. So in his previous year, he has crossed 50 lakhs. So he cannot continue under the composition scheme for 23-24, even if he does intrastate architectural services. Okay. The crux is that the limit, if he has to move, he has to see the limit for services, and he's crossed the limit for the services. Clear? Deepti Services, registered in Uttarakhand, is exclusively providing intrastate hairstyling services. It has turnover of 34 lakhs. First this part, then we'll go to this. Is she continuing to be under composition? I think everybody is tired, but it's okay. Just last 10 minutes, we'll take one or two more questions. Or this question itself is confusing. Yeah. Deepti Services is registered in Uttarakhand. She's exclusively providing intrastate hairstyling services, and her turnover is 34 lakhs. Correct? So, for composition scheme, instead of 1.5 crores, it becomes 75 lakhs for Uttarakhand. Correct? So, 10.1 or 10.2 not eligible. You're right. So, for 10.1 and 10.2, she is not eligible because that's only for restaurant service provider. But is she eligible for 10.2a? Yes, she will be eligible under 10.2a because there it is 50 lakhs even for special category states. वहां पे 25 lakh नहीं होता है. That was the objective of this question. Whether that 50 lakhs will become 25 lakhs for special category states, no, that will not become. That will still remain as 50 lakhs. So her business, she will be eligible for registration as a composition under 10(2)(a), and her limit will be below 50 lakhs rupees. Now, the furtherance of this question is, will your answer be different if Dipti Services also starts intrastate supply of beauty products? Yes. So a service provider can do trading up to 50 lakh rupees, which is related to it. Yeah. So the answer will be same even if Deepti Services wants to supply beauty products along with hairstyling services. If they do trading, will they be out? No, that is not the case. And there is no marginal limit as such. Overall, they have to be within 50 lakhs, wherein it is a composite supply. They are not doing something different. They are into the composite supply of hairstyling, साथ में shampoo भी दे दिया. Right? So it's a composite supply and it will be under the composition scheme itself. If they're doing turnover up to 50 lakhs, then they will be under the composition scheme. Next, we'll go to question number 6. This is a very, very tricky question, very lengthy question. To understand when the limit crosses 1.5 crores. So what we'll do is we'll not get into this question. We'll go into question number 7. Subbalakshmi Foods is engaged in supplying restaurant service in Maharashtra. In the financial year 22-23, it had a turnover of 140 lakhs from the restaurant service. Further, it had earned bank interest of 20 lakhs from fixed deposit. You are required to advise Subbalakshmi Foods whether it is eligible for composition scheme under 10.1, 10.2 of the financial year 23-24. This is the first part. Let's answer the first part.
Yes, eligible because it is less than 1 crore 50 lakh.
Okay. But 1 crore 50 lakhs, it's crossing, no? 1 crore 40 lakhs plus 20 lakhs.
Interest is a turnover. I mean, interest is not considered as a turnover. It's mentioned that it is a earning interest of rupees 20 lakhs.
Correct. So 20 lakhs, had it been any exempt supply, we would have included, but interest is not to be included in the calculation of the turnover. So interest is not to be added. So we will not add interest. So interest cannot be added. We will not add interest of 20 lakhs in this. So her turnover is 140 lakhs, rightly is put by everyone that she is eligible for the scheme. Now, assuming that in the 23-24 turnover is 130 lakhs from the supply of restaurant services and 10 lakhs from supply of farm labor, and it earned a bank interest of 30 lakhs. Now, what will be the tax payable for the year 23-24? This is interesting. So, what will be the tax payable? Composition scheme, restaurant service provider, 5%. Okay. She is eligible. Now, 23-24. How much tax she has to pay?
5% of 130 plus 10, 140 lakh.
Okay. It is supply of farm labor. Farm labor is exempted. Others?
Good evening, sir.
Yes, madam.
I just want the students to fill the feedback form for today's class. I hope
Students,
all of
before
you have
leaving,
found this class
please
very useful.
fill up the feedback before you log out of the classes.
Yes, because this initiative is actually started by the Board of Studies for especially for the September examination. So we want all of you to share with us that how you have find this initiative and whether you want any other any suggestions you have for this class and with all your queries been answered. Because I hope all the questions they have been discussed with you, so you have been able to revise. Most you should be prepared or prepared with the topics which will be discussed in the class. That is very important. Though sir has given you a summary of all the significant provisions, you have revised all the concepts, you have discussed the important questions. But what is most important is that you should also be prepared. You should also have a glance or
Ma'am, your voice is breaking.
topic. Okay, maybe my network, some network issue. Am I audible, or is it still the same?
Still,
I
ma'am.
will switch off my video. Maybe because of some network issues there. Is it some better now?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
I
Now
want
it's
all of
better.
you. Yes.
Yes, madam. Now better.
So basic idea. Yes. Okay. Thank you. So the process is to ensure that those students hearing for November 2012 examination, they should revise the concepts and they should be able to practice the questions. Moreover, you should address your doubts which you have in these topics. So if you come prepared with these topics freehand, that will help in clarifying your doubts also. You will be able to revise the important questions and the questions we will be sharing you beforehand. So if you have seen in your BOS app, the file had already been shared with all of you that these are the questions which will be discussed, and you have any doubt in any other questions also, that also you can address class. You can ask the faculty those doubts. And moreover, I request all of you to share your feedback. Please share your feedback because that will help us in ensuring that whatever you require from these classes, that is being catered. Okay, any feedback any of you want to share right now by unmuting? That is, you can do that, or otherwise you can fill the form after this class. Okay. So I don't think any feedback anybody wants to share. But before we, end the sir, do you have any more anything else to add to this class, or
Yeah, I'm done. The answer they were wanting was that yes, it is 140 lakh on that 5%. That's the correct answer.
okay, sorry to interrupt you, sir, because
That's fine.
I think I intervened in between.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. And all of you, I want to tell all of you that the study material which is relevant for September examination, because we are receiving lot many queries from the students that we be having some new study material for the September 2025 examination. For that, the answer is that same study material, November 2024 edition is applicable along with the statutory update. So whatever provisions sir has covered in the class, all of you know that they are updated for September 2025 examination. Okay. So with this,
Okay,
Ma'am,
yes.
you are saying that study material printed for the May 24-20 and November 2024 is also
25, November 25 and May 25 material. That is November 2024 edition. That edition was November 2024 edition. And that material was relevant for May 2025 examination and November 2025 examination. So that material is relevant for your September examination also. In fact, you understood the meaning of the edition when I say November 2024 edition. That means that was printed in the month of November last year, but that was applicable for the examination which is being conducted this year. That is May 2025 examination, September 2025, and it will also be applicable for January 2026 examination next year. only thing is, along with that study material for September and January 26, you have to read the statutory update. That will be hosted on the website.
Okay.
January 26, Pragya, I think you want to ask. Is it applicable for January 26? Because 25 examination has already been convened in the start of this year. January 26 and September 25, same edition, November 2024 will be applicable, because it's very important for all of you to know. And the cutoff date till which your amendments will be applicable for September 2025 exams is 28 February 2025. So very soon, statutory update will be hosted. Maybe by end of this month, you will be getting the statutory update. But nevertheless, the amendments will be covered during the live virtual revision classes. So please pay attention to these classes. You will definitely be benefited by these classes if you attend them regularly and you come prepared beforehand. You will all the more be able to get benefit from these classes. Yes. Okay. Okay. Now you got this. Yes. January 26, you were referring, Pragya. Okay, fine. So that answers your doubt also. If anybody has any other doubt, you can ask the same.
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. So with this, we come to an end of this class. Thank you, sir, for this insightful session and revising all the 3 topics, all the 4 topics, in fact, I would say, in a fabulous manner. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes.